we have lots of people that have come to the shows and said, you know, I really didn't think I would like Shakespeare, but I like this. So you're not going to come to one of our productions, I don't think, and just be completely lost. My name is John Mark Hogue. I'm the director and kind of the, I guess, the guy, the Shakespeare guy for B Theater. This year we're doing Hamlet. It's going to be a great show, and it's opening Thursday, the 20th. With Shakespeare on the Concho, it was all outdoors and the audience was right there. And so what we try to recreate is kind of that feeling, that closeness. It can be, you know, it is daunting to a lot of people, but it really shouldn't be. And one of the reasons we started doing Shakespeare the way we do it is because of just kind of the firm conviction that, you know, I used to hear a lot of people say, I don't like Shakespeare, and I never really understood that until finally I realized, well, the reason they don't like Shakespeare is because their only exposure was reading Hamlet or Macbeth or Romeo and Juliet in high school, and that it was really meant to be experienced on the stage. And so what we do with Shakespeare is we condense down, we make cuts in the show, we change words so they make them more understandable, and try to speed up the time, so it's really just about the key story in the play. Shakespeare was known for having lots of different subplots and things that going around that are sometimes interesting but may not lend themselves directly to the story. And so that's what we've done with Hamlet this year. We do encourage all our actors to really engage with the audience, you know, giving it to the audience, because that's really what it's intended for. You know, when you have a monologue in Shakespeare, it's really easy for people to kind of zone out if they're not used to it. But you know, and over time, what it does, the more you're exposed to it, the easier it becomes to follow and understand. And it really is in English. I swear to God, it's in English. So don't tell me it's not in English. Yeah. What you're going to get is a performance by, I think, some of the best actors in San Angelo. These are all, you know, either homegrown people or people that moved here from college or that just moved to San Angelo and love theater. They're all volunteers that are playing, and they've devoted themselves since the middle of, well, in February actually, to auditioning and working on Hamlet, which is one of the longest, is not the longest play ever, but it's probably the longest Shakespeare play ever. And it's one of the most challenging just because of the subject matter. It's also the most well-known, one of the most well-known. It's a revenge story. It's a story of Hamlet the prince, whose father, who was also named Hamlet, has been murdered by his uncle, and who's now married his wife and taken the crown, taken the throne. And it's all about how it is, all that is revealed to Hamlet and how he struggles with it and comes to the realization of what he has to do to try to revenge his father and his struggles, his internal struggles. So on one hand, it's a traditional revenge story of my father has been murdered, I'm going to avenge his death. There's also a love interest in there with Hamlet and Ophelia and how that is impacted by all the struggles that Hamlet goes through. But it also is about politics. It's about you know, unlawful usurpation of power. You know, the king overthrowing his brother to claim the throne, and the impact that has not only on the family but on the country. As with most things with Shakespeare, it's kind of like an onion. There are just layers and layers and layers to it that I think will just fascinate people. We've also got a great set, great lighting design, great actors, and just some effects that I think people will really appreciate. This play is not being done in period dress, so it's not like Shakespearean actors in 15th century. You know, it's kind of got I call it sort of a Dune feel, sort of a 23rd century feel with Hamlet. We're still using swords. We've got fight choreographers that worked on this, and so we've got some really exciting things with sword fighting and going on in the play, so a lot of fun. But what it is about Shakespeare that makes that possible, I think, and acceptable is because his plays, I guess I want to say in a sense, are more mythical than necessarily, they're not confined to a historic period. He does have some plays, his history plays like Henry IV, Henry V, that are all set in a specific period of history. But most of them are mythical, and they're so universal. The themes that he sets out in them are universal themes that do not apply just to one set of facts in history. You know, Julius Caesar, even though it takes place in a specific time, you can translate that to just about any time, and it's still the same struggles that people have as human and what it means to be human is really what he's writing about all the time. Well, you know, somebody said once there's like 3 stories. There's actually 3 stories in the whole world, and everything else is a takeoff that. And with Shakespeare, it really is true. I mean, Hamlet, you know, is the inspiration for so many things that we see in popular fiction and in movies. Succession is one of those things, you know, because you can take ideas out of Macbeth and Hamlet. You know, the Lion King is Hamlet. I mean, it's the uncle that overthrows the father, and then he comes back to take his rightful place. You know, that sort of thing. So it's just all over. We really try to make it as fun as we possibly can for the audiences. Even though Hamlet is technically a tragedy, it's got a lot of comedy in it, and it's got a lot of sexual innuendo. When we did Romeo and Juliet a couple of years ago, and how, you know, that play is so bawdy, and it's got so much sexual innuendo and humor in it that people didn't realize until you actually go, you know, you're just reading the sanitized version in high school. This is what this really means. Last year we did Twelfth Night, which is one of Shakespeare's more popular comedies, and we love the comedies. But there's, you know, if you're going to be doing Shakespeare every year, you kind of got to expand beyond just the comedies and do a couple of these. We've done Macbeth, we did Romeo and Juliet, and now we're going for our boldest try yet, which is Hamlet, which, you know, some people consider the greatest play in the English language. Funnest things about it, and I would encourage anybody that has ever thought about doing it to go audition for a show either at Angelo Civic Theater or at B Theater, because it's really transformative. And one of the things I really enjoy about it is, you know, when you get into it, you are so submersed in that character or whatever, even if you're working backstage, there's so much going on that it really is liberating for your mind. You know, all the stress you have at work, all those sorts of things, it all has to just vanish because you step into a whole new world when you're in that, and it just completely absorbs you, and it's just a lot of fun. And then getting applause and hearing and pleasing the crowd is a great thing. And it's really kind of part of exposing San Angelo and the Concho Valley to this great work that is done all over the world, in every culture of the world, and we want to share that with San Angelo.